question is about visual effects. Now with modern movies, big budget movies, visual effects is more and more demanding and asks for several studios to be involved, so it's a very, very complex process. So I wanted to know how you manage that, the work being done by so many different studios and everything.
Yeah, it is very complex, especially when you're splitting your work between multiple houses. I remember on Superman Returns, we had one shot, and a company in Australia, LA, and London would work on one shot. So it meant my visual effects supervisor, Mark Stetson, had to sleep in the office and be there for the London time, the Australian time, and the LA time. And it's very tough coordinating those shots because you're sending them through multiple iterations. It's frustrating sometimes. A big part of these movies at the end is me sitting in a dark room with a laser pointing at shit. That's shit. Fix it. You know, and you're surrounded by people who are more tired than you, and you're telling them to do, you know, make it better and make it darker, make it more real looking. You know, they don't rarely the special effects come back perfect. So it's a process, particularly when you're splitting your houses, your visual effects houses. I have yet to make a movie that all does the work in one house. One day, maybe.
Hello, I was wondering if it was possible to see a character like Cable or Rachel Summer one day.
Yeah, sure. Cable's an interesting character. I could see him emerging in future films. I considered it for this film, actually. But then, in the end, I had Bishop in the picture.
Hi, Bryan.
Hello.
Basically, I was just wondering, in all the movies that you've done, which character maybe do you relate the most, that you like the most? Is there one in particular that gets to you?
I like Professor X. He's like my favorite because he's just this, you know, because I guess I feel like, I don't know, I'm a director and I feel like I've got to hold this ship together of weirdos, and he's got the same job. So I've always been really fond of that character, of all the movies that I've made. You know, and Kaiser Soze is a cool character too, obviously, but I don't like him. You know, he killed his family.
We have time for 2 more questions.
Hi, Bryan. So you've been working a lot on these really big corporate properties, and you don't have to answer this if any of your producers are here in the audience or anything like that. But do you have difficulty dealing with constraints from people who have been they have serious big investments in this sort of thing? Do you get extra pressure on that as regards to say compared to something like Usual Suspects, or how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, the corporate imperative of a studio or their parent company is they want to make money, so they want good product. They usually leave it, a corporation like Viacom or News Corporation or General Electric, and when I work at Universal on a house, it's GE owns that company. News Corp owns Fox. Time Warner, ultimately the publishing company, owns Warner Brothers. So their bottom line is money, is economics. So what they try to do is it's about the regime they pick. And they have faith that the regime they've picked is going to lead, and make a good quality movie that's going to be successful. So, I just don't think, I've never compromised for a corporation. Occasionally we do, tie-ins with products and things, but I find that fun sometimes. I don't think it's that, I don't know, if it's appropriate, it can be kind of fun, actually.
So they have ultimate faith in you, or do you have to fight back against them at all?
You fight back when you want something. You want to do something and they don't want to pay for it. That's the fight. You're always fighting for more money, more time, and they know it, and sometimes they give it to you, and sometimes they say, no, this is all you got. And then sometimes those restrictions actually make you come up with cooler solutions. I try to, when anyone gives me a limitation, I try to turn it into a positive. You know, I don't know how many of you have seen the movie Rocky, but as the story went, and I don't know if it's true, but it's a great story. Anyway, there was a scene where Rocky and Adrian had their first date, and it was at an ice skating rink full of ice skaters, and they couldn't afford the ice skaters. So they just rented the rink, and the joke was, I'll give you $5 if I can go around 3 times. And it's one of the most romantic scenes in film history. So, that it was a plus. But they don't get in your stuff. There's certain policies about seatbelts and smoking and things like that studios sometimes have. And it's their money, I'm okay with that. As long as it doesn't ruin the story. And usually it doesn't.
Hello.
Hello.
I have a question about screenwriting and the input of the director on the screenplay. You didn't write Usual Suspects, and you also didn't write Up to Pupil, even though you co-wrote or wrote the story of several X-Men movies. Do you think directors should never work on a screenplay, like always leave that to the screenwriter, or the opposite, always have an input on the screenwriting?
Always have an input on the screenwriter. I never leave it up to the screenwriter. There's never a script that I've made where the writer wrote the script and I said, oh, thanks, I'll direct that. Usual Suspects, I went through months and months and months of development work on that script. At Pupil, I worked with Brandon Boyce very heavily on that script. It's they're the writer. I don't want to take that credit from them, and it's their words, but we work together. It's a collaboration. And the most fun part about it is, which I've discovered now, is I like when my writers are on set. Like my friend Dan Stubney, who's here, visiting me, who wrote Jack the Giant Slayer. He's there all the time, and we're having fun making that movie together. Right now, working with Simon Kinberg on Days of Future Past, and he's right there working with me. So, I don't take away the fact that he's the writer, but it is a collaboration. And if you can, I'm the boss in the end. I make the decision, but it's very much a collaboration.
So, Bryan, what can fans expect on May 24th, 2014?
Oh, to be blown away. Hopefully, I hope it's an emotional film. I think it's important that these, to me at least, that these science fiction fantasy films be emotional and tell interesting stories. So I think we've got a really interesting story here that's got a lot of moving parts and a lot of different kinds of scenes and some really cool stuff you haven't seen before. So I think you'll really like it, especially if you like X-Men. If anything, you get to see like Halle Berry and shit.
You guys want to see the footage again?
Yeah!